Okay, so now we're going to start working on the project. We have our bounding box. You can start using your iPad here to sketch, but we need some letter forms. So there is a layers palette in Sketchpad, which is quite nice. And eventually we're going to want to lock this down. But first, we're going to need to add some type. So use the type tool on the left-hand side. You can scroll through all sorts of fonts and typefaces here. There's plenty of them. I am going to use Merriweather and black. Remember, in plate 1, everything has to be black. I don't want you to fool around with any color yet. And if you click on the plate, you will get an automatic Your Text Here. And I'm actually going to use my typewriter here, or my keyboard, and I'm going to use the letter N. And then when you want to close it, you just click on the type keyboard at the bottom. Now, before I get started, and before I hit the check, I hit the check, and then I'm going to hit the layers. Now I want you to lock that square layer down. And I ask you to do that because we really just want to work on each layer at a time. And if this one, the square layer with your bounding box, is unlocked, it might have a tendency to move. So once it's all set, just lock it down and stay like that. So now I can make this N bigger. And again, I wanted you to create some letter forms to trace. Some can be big, some can be small. If we want to duplicate the 3 little circles at the top, we can hit duplicate. It will make another one. We can make it smaller. If we want to change the type. Okay, so we're going to actually make it a lowercase n. Turn that off. There we go. I might also lock one down, and then I get this one. I can make it smaller or bigger. I can put it over here. I can also duplicate it if I want something still a little bit smaller to trace. Again, go back and start locking your layers down so they don't keep moving on you. So I might put that one there. And if you can use the same letter over and over, you also can use different letters, no more than 3, as the criteria says. So here, you can certainly print this out from your iPad so that you have letter forms that you can trace, and you can move them around as you're tracing them to come up with this figure ground relationship. I'm also going to add maybe, I'm going to also add an O. I think I'd like to add an O. If you want to make it bold, it's going to give you a border. Just make sure if it comes in with a color, you change it to black, and you can make it bolder or less bold. So if I'm going to make an O, you can do that, and then you actually get an O. Kind of cool. I'm going to make it smaller, and I must have moved my cursor a bit. It will actually make different things for you. I'm going to make it bigger, and again, I tried. It gets a little frustrating here, but keep with it. Okay. So if I want to move it now, again, go back to my arrow tool and move it. So let's say you're ready to print this. Again, you can print right from your iPad. You also can use your iPad as a tracing. You can put your tracing paper over this and then start to make some interconnections as you're working on your plate. Now, how do you print it? If you're not going to trace right on your iPad, you do have to print it. The way you have to do that is download this as a JPEG. So go to your lower left and you'll see this little disk icon. And we're going to download it as a JPEG. It goes to, again, your downloads folder, which is your file folder right here. Here it is, drawing Sketchpad. You can save it out. And again, you might see your printer here. If you go to the lab, that's the best way to print it. I would print many copies. You can even take it to the copy machine in the Mac lab, make it bigger or smaller. You want to have a variety of sizes so that as you just work on plate 1, which is the only time you have to do your sketching, you have enough varied sizes to create the figure ground relationship.